Not every sleeper is worth hunting down. Some are all bark with no bite, while others look like slow commuters, but will eat modern performance cars for breakfast. In this list, we're separating the fakes from the real deals. First, we'll cover 7 so-called sleepers you should absolutely avoid. Then we'll bring you 6 that are the real hidden gems. Buckle up, because this list might just save your wallet or your reputation. Number 13. 2004 Jaguar X-Type 3.0 AWD. Some cars wear a disguise a little too well, and the 2004 Jaguar X-Type 3.0 AWD is a perfect example. Styled to resemble a smaller sibling of the iconic XJ, it lured buyers in with promises of British elegance and all-wheel drive capability. Underneath that sleek body, however, sat the bones of a Ford Mondeo, and it showed in all the wrong places. The 3-liter V6 was competent on paper, making over 220 horsepower, but its real-world performance felt bogged down by a clunky transmission and uninspiring handling. It lacked the refinement and smoothness people expected from a Jaguar. There was no magic in the way it drove, just average acceleration paired with steering that lacked feedback. Worse still, ownership became a costly headache for many. Transmission failures, differential problems, and electrical gremlins plagued this model, turning that luxury badge into a warning sign. Inside, Jaguar gave it leather seats and a wood-trimmed dash, but quality control was inconsistent. Many owners experienced trim pieces rattling, electronics failing, and a general sense that the car was trying to punch above its weight class. The seats looked plush, but wore down quickly. The infotainment system was outdated even for 2004 standards. It wanted to be a mini X-Chart, but ended up being a dressed-up Ford with attitude issues. The concept sounded promising on paper, but the execution missed the mark. Today, the X-Type has become more of a cautionary tale than a collectible sleeper. Now that the illusion has faded, we move on to a car that had the engine and the hardware to compete, if only it could stay in one piece. Number 12. 2005 Volvo S60R. Unlike most sleepers, the 2005 Volvo S60R actually had the power to surprise. Its turbocharged 5-cylinder engine made 300 horsepower, and when paired with all-wheel drive and active suspension, it looked ready to fight Germany's finest. It even had a subtle performance aesthetic, just enough to hint at its capabilities without shouting. The R badge was understated, but the aggressive stance and unique wheels gave keen eyes a clue that this was no regular Volvo. The spec sheet alone made it an exciting proposition. All-wheel drive traction, Brembo brakes, and an adjustable suspension system that could firm up or soften with the press of a button. On paper, it seemed perfect. Unfortunately, things fell apart once real-world driving kicked in. The active suspension system, marketed as a major innovation, turned into an expensive repair nightmare. Many owners dealt with worn-out components in under 60,000 miles. The Haldex all-wheel drive system was also prone to failure, and even routine maintenance required specialist knowledge in deep pockets. Reliability was never this car's strong suit. Performance was there, but durability was not, and the automatic transmission dulled much of the thrill, often shifting with delay or hesitation. The car felt fast, but it also felt unpredictable. The S60R became a symbol of missed opportunity. It had all the tools to dominate the sleeper market, but lacked the stamina to hold its own. A well-tuned S60R is still capable of brilliant things, but owning one comes with baggage. Before we keep going, hit that subscribe button if you love discovering cars that go against the grain. We have plenty more forgotten monsters coming up. Now, rather than brute force, our next car tried to combine American luxury and muscle. The results were dramatic and expensive. Number 11. 2006 Cadillac STS-V. There was a time when Cadillac aimed to outgun the Germans at their own game, and the 2006 STS-V was their boldest swing yet. With a supercharged 4.4-liter North Star V8 under the hood, producing 469 horsepower, this machine was no joke. It sprinted, roared, and made its presence known with sharp lines and aggressive stance. Cadillac had finally gone all in on performance. On paper, this was America's answer to the BMW M5 and the Mercedes E55 AMG, and it came wrapped in leather and chrome. The problem was not ambition, it was execution. The engine was both a weapon and a weakness. Known for heat issues even in naturally aspirated form, the Northstar 5.8 struggled with cooling when supercharged. Overheating, oil burning, and head gasket failures haunted owners. The complexity of the engine layout made repairs labor-intensive and costly. Add in a 6-speed automatic that often felt clunky under load, and you had a drivetrain constantly battling its own design. There was a disconnect between the car's immense power and its ability to handle that power over time. The STS-V offered luxury with tech features like navigation, heated and cooled seats, and magnetic ride control, which could adapt to different driving conditions on the fly. But all the gadgets in the world could not save it from reliability woes. When it ran, it was a beast. When it broke, it emptied wallets. It was a fascinating failure, a car that came so close to being a world beater, but could not escape its own flaws. Let's now turn away from blown V8s and focus on a compact car that made noise with its supercharged heart, but stumbled in the execution. Number 10, 2006 Chevy Cobalt SS Supercharge. Here was GM's bold attempt to inject excitement into a compact economy car. The 2006 Chevy Cobalt SS Supercharged came with a 2.0-liter Ecotec engine boosted by an Eaton M62 supercharger, delivering 205 horsepower to the front wheels. It was loud, aggressive, and carried a budget street racer vibe that appealed to younger drivers chasing speed on a shoestring. It also wore the badge of Chevy's performance division, trying hard to feel like a miniature Corvette. Unfortunately, a few serious flaws held it back. That appeal came with compromises. Torque steer was brutal, build quality was poor, and reliability suffered as the miles stacked up. The interior felt like an afterthought with cheap plastics and a lack of refinement. The seats wore quickly, the radio felt like an old calculator, and there was nothing premium about how the controls felt in your hand. The steering was twitchy at best and outright frustrating at worst. The Cobalt SS wanted to be a performance car, but often felt like it was struggling to stay glued together under pressure. You could have fun in it, but you always knew it was a ticking time bomb underneath the hood. While the supercharged whine made for fun short bursts, long-term ownership was rarely enjoyable. Suspension components wore out fast, and the car's reputation for immaturity kept resale values low. It had all the noise and none of the polish. As a result, it became one of those cars that were more fun to borrow than to own. After this chaotic compact, we moved toward a car that had genuine potential, but was tripped up by one major flaw. Number 9, 2006 Mazdaspeed 6. Mazda had all the right ingredients with the 2006 Mazdaspeed 6. A turbocharged 2.3-liter engine, all-wheel drive, a 6-speed manual gearbox, and aggressive styling that whispered performance without shouting. On paper, it looked like the perfect sleeper, a grown-up sedan with family car practicality and rally-inspired roots. With 274 horsepower under the hood and a chassis tuned by people who knew how to make a car dance, it should have been a hit. But Mazda complicated things. The turbocharged engine suffered from hesitation, turbo lag, and reliability concerns over time. The all-wheel drive system was part-time and electronically controlled, meaning it only came alive under very specific conditions. That made it unpredictable and hard to fully enjoy. The car also carried more weight than it should have, dulling the performance edge that made other Mazdas fun. While it could pull hard in a straight line, it lacked the overall refinement of rivals like the Subaru Legacy GT or Audi A4. Inside, the cabin felt solid, but the electronics and finish did not age well. Parts broke. The touchscreen system felt dated even back then. Drivers loved the idea of the Mazdaspeed 6, but most never truly fell in love with the execution. It became one of those rare sleepers that car nerds respected, but few actually recommended. So while it had speed, it lacked staying power. If you've ever been burned by a sleeper that did not live up to the hype, drop the name in the comments. And while you're at it, give this video a like so more gearheads find the truth. Speaking of potential that fizzled out, the next sedan came from a brand known for performance, but it turned into a maintenance nightmare for many owners. Number 8, 2007 BMW 335i E90. BMW aimed straight at driving perfection with the 2007 335i, offering twin-turbo power and signature rear-wheel drive balance. On release, it was a revelation. The 3-liter inline-six engine, with twin turbochargers, produced 300 horsepower and delivered a wave of torque across the rev range. It felt faster than most sports cars from the same era. The chassis tuning was impeccable. The interior was comfortable and high quality. On paper, it was everything a sleeper should be. But then came the reality of ownership. The twin turbos were prone to failure. The high-pressure fuel pumps had notorious issues. Carbon buildup on intake valves was common. These were not rare cases either. Many owners experienced these problems before reaching 100,000 miles. Repairs were expensive, and BMW's service pricing pushed the car out of reach for budget-conscious enthusiasts. What should have been a performance bargain quickly became a mechanical burden. It was fast, yes, but it punished you for enjoying that speed. The E90 generation also saw a dip in build quality compared to earlier BMWs. Rattles developed, electronics glitched, and once warranty ended, the 335i started feeling less like the ultimate driving machine and more like a ticking financial time bomb. Enthusiasts still love how it drives, but few will tell you to actually buy one today unless you are ready to spend serious money on upkeep. From Bavarian heartbreak, we now head to one of the most misunderstood American cars of the 2000s. It had big numbers and big attitude, but it missed the mark in more ways than one. Number 7. 2008 Dodge Caliber SRT4. When Dodge decided to revive the SRT4 badge in 2008, expectations were high. The original neon SRT4 had earned cult status as a raw, turbocharged rocket on a budget. So naturally, people assumed the Dodge Caliber SRT4 would carry that torch. It came with a 2.4-liter turbocharged engine, putting out 285 horsepower. That was a lot of power for a hatchback. It also had aggressive styling, big wheels, and a purposeful stance. But none of that could save it from what happened next. The Caliber SRT4 struggled from identity crisis and poor engineering. The chassis was not up to the task. Its torque steered wildly and lacked any kind of composure when pushed hard. The interior was plasticky, uncomfortable, and felt like it was built to a rental car standard. The seats were stiff, visibility was poor, and the infotainment was already outdated at launch. Even though the engine had serious potential, the rest of the package let it down completely. Drivers who bought it expecting the same magic as the Neon were disappointed. It was louder but not sharper. It was quicker in a straight line but less fun in every other situation. It became known for straight-line speed and little else. The Caliber SRT4 was a lesson in missed opportunity, and so we closed the list of the worst sleepers with a car that tried too hard and failed to deliver. But enough of the disappointments. Now let's turn things around with cars that actually delivered as promised. Up next is a sleeper that shocked the industry in the early 90s by hiding real performance under the skin of a family sedan. Number 6, 1991 Ford Taurus SHO. The 1991 Ford Taurus SHO did not look fast. It looked like a sensible family sedan designed to shuttle kids to school and parents to work. But deep under the hood was one of the most unexpected engines ever placed in a mid-size American car. Yamaha co-developed a 3-liter V6 that revved to 7,000 RPM and produced 220 horsepower. That engine was hand-built, silky smooth, and delivered its power with urgency few expected from a Ford sedan. Unlike most American power plants of the time, it loved to rev, encouraging spirited driving and rewarding those who knew how to row through gears. Paired with a 5-speed manual transmission, the Taurus SHO had the spirit of a sports car trapped inside a commuter body. The suspension was tuned to handle corners with poise. It had larger brakes, quicker steering, and enough grip to surprise drivers used to front-wheel drive slop. The chassis held up under pressure, and even though it weighed more than most compacts, it managed to feel light on its feet. While the interior retained its family-friendly layout, subtle changes like supportive seats and unique badging hinted at its potential. But it was still stealthy enough to keep cops guessing and leave bystanders stunned. It was never flashy, and that was the point. The Taurus SHO was built for those who wanted to go fast without looking fast. A car that could embarrass Mustangs without breaking the bank or attracting unwanted attention. It became a cult classic and laid the groundwork for future American sleepers. It proved that performance could hide behind practicality. But while Ford kept things relatively discreet, the next car did not mind adding a little luxury and Japanese polish to its under-the-radar appeal. Number 5, 2002 Lexus GS 300. Lexus is not the first brand that comes to mind when thinking about sleeper performance, but the 2002 GS 300 made its case quietly and effectively. Underneath the refined body and upscale interior, the GS 300 shared a lot with Toyota's performance division. Most notably, it packed the naturally aspirated 2JZGE inline-6 engine. While it was not turbocharged like the Supra, this version still brought 220 horsepower in bulletproof reliability. What made the GS 300 special was how effortlessly it balanced comfort with capability. Rear-wheel drive meant balanced handling, and the chassis tuning gave it a planted feel at speed. Drivers who knew how to modify it found an incredible foundation. The engine could be turbocharged and tuned to super levels without changing internals. Even stock, it pulled hard and ran forever. It was a car that could glide through daily life, then turn around and shock a BMW or Audi on a twisty road. Inside, it was all luxury. Leather seats, wood trim, soft touch materials, and a quiet cabin that screamed refinement. But it never bragged about what it could do. That subtle approach is what made it such a potent sleeper. It whispered instead of shouted. We're just getting to the best of the best. So if you're thinking of picking up a hidden performance car, now is the time to save this video for reference. Now from smooth luxury to surprising sportiness, the next car delivered raw V6 muscle through a 6-speed manual and a body that few took seriously at the time. Number 4, 2006 Honda Accord V6 Coupe, 6-speed manual. Many saw the 2006 Honda Accord Coupe as a stylish but tame commuter car. What they missed was that the V6 version, equipped with the 6-speed manual, was an entirely different beast. Honda gave this variant a 3-liter V6 producing 244 horsepower, and the manual transmission allowed drivers to use every bit of that power with sharp control. It was a grown-up alternative to the boy racer sedans, and it delivered speed with maturity. The sleeper effect was strong with this one, mainly because it did not shout about what it could do. It simply performed. The Coupe had a solid chassis that responded well to spirited driving. It was not as focused as a purebred sports car, but it had the bones to hang in the corners and the guts to pull hard on a straight. The suspension was balanced enough for daily driving, but stiff enough to keep body roll in check when the pace picked up. Owners who knew how to drive could easily take advantage of the linear power band and well-tuned handling. It also had one of the best-sounding V6 engines in its class, with a deep tone that grew into a howl at high RPM. Honda did not advertise this car as a performance machine. Most people assumed it was just another family two-door. That is exactly what made it a great sleeper. It blended into the background until you dropped a gear and walked away from traffic. It had no wings, no badges, and no attitude, just performance hidden under Honda reliability. The 6-speed V6 Accord Coupe has become a secret favorite among gearheads. And now we move on to a European wagon that disguised its power under Scandinavian steel and classy taillights. Number 3, 2006 Volvo V70R. The Volvo V70R is what happens when sensible design meets unexpected firepower. At first glance, it looked like a refined family wagon built for school runs and long trips to IKEA. With its understated design, it blended into traffic like any other European estate. But beneath that calm exterior lurked a 2.5-liter turbocharged 5-cylinder engine, pumping out a strong 300 horsepower through all 4 wheels. Combined with Volvo's Haldex all-wheel drive system and adjustable suspension settings, the V70R was a certified sleeper hiding in plain sight. The engine had a distinctive voice, a growling warble that turned into a full-throttle roar once the turbo kicked in. Unlike a traditional V6 or inline-4, the 5-cylinder added character to the drive. The V70R was available with either a 6-speed manual transmission or an automatic. And while the manual was rare, it brought out the best in the car. It could corner flat, launch aggressively, and cruise with composure. The 4C adaptive chassis system was especially impressive, allowing the car to shift between comfort, sport, and advanced modes. It was like having three personalities under one roof. Step inside and you were greeted by Volvo's signature touches. Leather seats offered serious comfort for long journeys. The minimalist dash was clean and modern, and everything felt purposefully arranged. But then your eyes would catch the bright blue gauge faces, or your hands would rest on the R-badge steering wheel, and you would remember this was not just a wagon. It was a machine built to deliver performance on par with sports sedans, all while carrying the family and groceries. As for our next car, it brought Japanese refinement and American attitude together in a way no one expected. Number 2, 2008 Acura TL Type S. Some cars play it safe. The 2008 Acura TL Type S did not. At first glance, it looked like a regular mid-size luxury sedan with smooth lines, premium touches, and a respectable badge. But dig deeper and you would discover a 3.5-liter V6 pumping out 286 horsepower. Even more exciting, select models came with a 6-speed manual transmission. Acura knew what they were doing with this one. It was not just a good-looking car. It was built for people who like to drive, and it showed the moment you got behind the wheel. Yes, it was front-wheel drive, but the engineers at Acura compensated for that with a limited slip differential and tightly dialed steering geometry. The result was a sedan that turned better than it had any right to. The V6 engine delivered strong torque in the mid-range, and the manual gearbox it was paired with was one of the smoothest shifting in its class. It never felt clumsy or overpowered. Instead, it balanced precision and speed. Whether you were carving up back roads or flying down the freeway, the TL Type S felt eager and composed. The suspension offered just the right level of firmness, and the brakes delivered confidence at every corner. Step inside and you would find a clean, upscale cabin. Sport seats hugged you in place. Red accent lighting added a splash of aggression. And the subtle Type S badge on the console reminded you that this was not just another executive sedan. Most people missed it completely unless they were watching it disappear in their rearview mirror. For fans of Japanese performance sedans, this was a satisfying and stylish option. Number 1, 2008 Chevy Trailblazer SS. The 2008 Chevy Trailblazer SS is what you get when someone in General Motors decided a family SUV needed Corvette power. That someone was absolutely right. They dropped in a 6-liter LS2 V8 engine, the same power plant found in the C6 Corvette, giving this boxy SUV a wild 395 horsepower. That amount of muscle in a mid-size SUV made for an experience that confused bystanders and delighted drivers. It did 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds, which was absurd for a 5-seat grocery getter. It may have looked like something your neighbor would take to the hardware store, but it could smoke sports sedans at will. But it was not just about straight-line speed. The Trailblazer SS came with a lowered suspension, tighter steering, and a performance-tuned chassis that made it feel far more nimble than it looked. Rear-wheel drive versions offered the purest driving experience, delivering power to the pavement with immediate response. Even the all-wheel drive models delivered confident traction and brutal off-the-line launches. This was an SUV that respected curves just as much as it respected horsepower. It surprised muscle car fans and scared SUV doubters all at once. Inside, it still looked like a standard Chevy SUV. No crazy body kits or wings, just a clean cabin with subtle SS badges, firmer bolstered seats, and an overall layout that did not scream speed. That was the genius of it. Most people assumed it was a standard family vehicle until it blasted away at the lights with a throaty roar. The Trailblazer SS was the last gasp of true American sleeper madness. It proved that utility and muscle could share the same body without compromise. So there you have it. Some sleepers are wolves in disguise, others are just sheep in racing stripes. The key is knowing which is which before you buy. Let us know in the comments which ones we missed, and tell us your sleeper success or disaster story. And if you learned something new today, share this with a fellow car nerd. They'll thank you later.